Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something new? Today we're tackling door installation.
Door installation.
Yep, I found this career guide all about it, and honestly, I had no idea how much was involved.
Really? What
Uh,
surprised you? I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, right?
Well, that's what I thought, but it turns out it's not just about being strong enough to, lift a door.
There's more to it than meets the eye, I see.
Exactly. This guide talks about how important precision is. Like, you need to be really good with measurements and making sure everything's level.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Especially with older homes. Things shift and settle over time, so getting that perfect fit can be tricky. It's not as simple as just screwing a hinge in.
It's true. And this guide even mentioned using lasers for those measurements.
Lasers. Wow. Technology really is changing everything.
I know. It even talks about smart door technology.
Smart doors, like doors that can unlock with your phone and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's wild. But even with all this high-tech stuff, the guide still stresses the importance of good old-fashioned customer service.
oh, for sure. You're going into people's homes, their businesses, places where they want to feel safe and secure. You can't just be a techie. You got to know how to talk to people.
Right. It's about explaining things clearly, addressing their concerns, maybe even offering some design advice. You're the door expert, after all.
Exactly. Okay, so walk me through this guide. What does it say about what a typical day looks like for a door installer?
Well, first of all, it's way more varied than I ever imagined. One day you might be installing a front door on a brand new house. And the next, you could be replacing interior doors in like an office building. Or even, at this, a hospital.
A hospital. That's interesting. I never would have thought about that.
Right. And the environments they work in.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's not always glamorous.
Yeah, I was just thinking, installing a door outside in the middle of summer or winter, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, the guide definitely doesn't sugarcoat that part. It talks about working in cramped spaces, dealing with awkward angles. You're exposed to all kinds of weather. Not exactly a desk job.
Definitely not. But there have to be some major perks to make up for it, right? What does the guide say about the pros and cons?
Well, job security is a big one. I mean, people are always going to need doors, right?
That's true. New construction, renovations, people wanting to upgrade.
Exactly. Plus, there's the satisfaction of seeing the results of your work immediately. You install a door, you see it working right then and there. That's pretty rewarding.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Hmm.
It's tangible, you've accomplished something concrete, not like sending emails all day.
Totally. And the guide also mentions the potential for starting your own business.
Oh, interesting. So you could be your own boss.
Exactly. You could specialize in a particular type of door or target a specific market. Lots of possibilities.
That's really cool. So you start as an apprentice, learning the ropes from experienced installers.
Yeah.
What comes after that?
Well, as you gain experience and skills, you move up to journeyman level. You're handling more complex installations on your own, really mastering different types of doors, frames, hardware.
I bet there's a lot to learn.
There is. And eventually you can work your way up to leading entire projects.
Wow, so you're not just a door installer anymore. You're like a project manager.
Right. You might be overseeing multiple installations, managing teams, even mentoring new apprentices.
That's a cool career path. Speaking of specializations, the guide mentioned something about that. What did they mean?
So once you've got a good foundation, you can start to specialize in specific types of doors, like high security doors, fire-rated doors, even those smart doors we were talking about earlier.
Oh, I get it. So you could become like the expert in a niche area of door installation.
Exactly. That could lead to more interesting projects, maybe even higher pay.
Makes sense. This is really changing how I think about door installation.
Me too. And it's not just about the technical stuff either. This guide really emphasizes the importance of those skills you don't always think about, like communication and problem solving.
Oh, right. Like if you run into a problem on the job.
Exactly. Say you're trying to install a door in an older home, and the frame is, well, let's just say it's seen better days.
Oh,
You need to be able to think on your feet, come up with creative solutions, and then explain those solutions to the client in a way that makes sense.
so it's not just about knowing how to use a hammer and nails. It's about thinking critically and communicating effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not just installing a door, you're solving problems, you're building trust, you're making sure everything functions perfectly. It's a lot more involved than I ever realized.
It really is. And there's that whole other layer too. Remember when we were talking about the smart door technology? Well, the guide also mentions how important it is to stay updated on industry trends like
Oh,
that.
that's right. Things are constantly changing with new materials, new technologies.
Exactly. Like energy-efficient doors, for
Yeah.
example. That's a big one these days.
Oh, definitely. Sustainability is so important. It makes sense that it would impact even something like door installation.
Right. I mean, a well-installed, energy-efficient door can make a huge difference in a building's energy consumption.
That's a great point. It's like this hidden connection between a traditional trade and this global push for a greener future. Door installers, the unsung heroes of sustainability.
I love it. I'm starting to think a deep dive into any career path would reveal these fascinating connections and hidden complexities. So what happens if someone's listening to this and they're like, hey, door installation actually sounds kind of interesting. What kind of advice does this guide give for actually pursuing it as a career?
Well, it has a whole section on interview prep. It lists common questions potential door installers might face.
Okay, like what? Give me an example. I'm curious now.
Well, they might ask you to describe your experience with different types of doors
Huh?
or how you would troubleshoot a door that's not closing properly.
Oh, so they're looking for problem-solving skills right off the bat.
Definitely. And they'll want to know about your customer service experience too. Like, how would you explain a complicated installation process to someone who doesn't know anything about doors?
That makes sense. You need to be able to break it down, make it understandable. It's about clear communication as much as it is about technical skills.
Exactly. You've got to have both. The guide actually suggests practicing your answers to these common interview questions beforehand.
Good idea. And you know what else might help? RoleCatcher.
RoleCatcher, how so?
Well, they have this really cool AI-powered feature that lets you simulate real-world interview scenarios. It's like having a personal coach to help you prepare.
Wow, that's really interesting, especially for a job where those interpersonal skills are so important. You know, this whole deep dive has really changed how I think about doors. I mean, we use them every single day, but rarely stop to think about all the work and skill that goes into getting them installed correctly.
It's true. It's like anything else. Once you start to peel back the layers, you realize there's a whole world of knowledge and expertise behind it. And this guy made another really fascinating point. It said that the job outlook for door installers is really positive right now.
Oh, that's great. Why is that?
Well, it mentioned a few factors, like new construction, of course, but also, get this, the need to replace old doors with more energy-efficient models.
Oh, right, because of sustainability.
Exactly. We're all becoming more aware of our energy consumption, and those old, grafty doors just aren't cutting it anymore.
That makes so much sense. I never really connected door installation with sustainability before.
Right. It's like this hidden link. But it makes perfect sense. A well-installed, properly insulated door can make a huge difference in a building's energy efficiency.
It's true. It's like by choosing a career in door installation, you're actually contributing to a greener future.
Exactly. It's a win-win. You get a job you enjoy, and you're helping the planet at the same time.
I love that. Okay, so let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, okay, door installation sounds kind of cool. I'm intrigued. What resources would you recommend for someone who wants to learn more?
Well, the guide actually mentioned a couple of great organizations. There's the Door and Access Systems Manufacturers Association, or DASMA.
Gasmame? Okay, I'll write that down.
And then there's the International Door Association, the IDA.
The IDA, got it.
Both of those organizations have tons of information about the industry, training programs, certification opportunities, all that good stuff.
Fantastic. So this guide is like a starting point, a jumping off point, to dive deeper into the world of doors. I love how these deep dives always seem to spark more questions than answers.
Me too. That's the beauty of learning, right? It's about getting curious, exploring different perspectives. And, even if you're not planning on becoming a door installer, I think there are some really valuable takeaways here.
Like what?
Well, we've talked about the importance of communication, problem solving, adaptability.
Right.
Those are skills that are valuable in any profession, in any aspect of life, really.
Absolutely.
And this deep dive has shown how those skills come into play in a very real, tangible way in the world of door installation.
So true. And, as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I keep thinking about something. We've talked about the technical skills, the career path, even sustainability angle, but there's this whole other element we haven't really touched on, the human element.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Doors are more than just functional objects. They represent something. They're about security, privacy, creating a sense of welcome.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're like a threshold, a transition between spaces.
Exactly. And I think there's something really profound about that. And for the people who install those doors, there's a certain level of, I don't know, craftsmanship involved. It's about taking pride in your work, creating something that will stand the test of time, something that adds value to people's lives.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's so true. We often overlook the human element in our conversations about work and careers, but it's there in every profession, even if it's not always obvious.
I completely agree. And it makes me wonder, think about all those beautifully crafted doors you see in old buildings, the ones with intricate carvings or the stained glass. Those doors weren't just functional. They were works of art.
That's a great point. They were a reflection of the skill and artistry of the people who made them. And even though mass production has changed the way a lot of doors are made today, I think that element of craftsmanship still exists, even in the way a door is installed. It's about taking pride in the details, even the ones most people might not notice.
Yes, it's about going beyond simply getting the job done. It's about striving for a level of excellence in everything you do. And that brings us back to this idea of hidden layers. We walk through doors every day without giving them a second thought. But behind each one is a story of design, materials, craftsmanship, and yes, even installation expertise.
And a story about the people who bring all those elements together, who use their skills and knowledge to create something both beautiful and functional.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we shouldn't underestimate the importance of skilled trades. They quite literally shape the world around us.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm so glad we had this deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for door installation, the skills involved, the challenges, the connection to bigger issues like sustainability.
Me too. And let's not forget that human element, the craftsmanship and artistry that often goes unnoticed.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that there's always more to learn, no matter how familiar something might seem.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds open, keep exploring, and remember there's a whole world of knowledge out there just waiting to be discovered.
And you never know what you might find behind that next door. Thanks for joining us.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket, right? You can practice those answers, get comfortable talking about your experience, and really nail those tricky questions.
That's so smart, especially for a job where, like we were saying, communication is so key. This whole deep dive has totally changed how I see doors. I mean, they're everywhere, but I never thought about the work it takes to, make sure they're installed right and working smoothly.
It's like anything, right? Once you start peeling back the layers, there's this whole world of skill and knowledge behind it. Speaking of which, the guide mentioned something really interesting about the job outlook for door installers.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's actually really positive.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Why is that?
Well, they said it's tied to a few things. Obviously, new construction is always going to be a factor, but get this. Replacing old doors with more energy-efficient models is becoming a huge deal.
Oh, because of sustainability and everything.
Exactly. People are way more conscious about their energy use now, and those old drafty doors, they just don't cut it anymore.
That makes total sense. It's like I knew energy efficiency was important, but I never really put it together with door installation before.
Right. But it's huge. A well-installed, properly insulated door that can make a world of difference in a building's energy consumption.
It's true. It's like by choosing a career indoor installation, you're actually contributing to a greener future.
Exactly. It's a win-win. You get a job you enjoy, and you're helping the planet at the same time. What's not to love?
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to us right now, and they're like, okay, this door installation thing is actually pretty cool. I'm into it. Where would they even begin to, learn more? Are there resources out there?
Totally. The guide actually mentioned a couple of great organizations. There's the Door and Access Systems Manufacturers Association, or DASMA for short.
DASMA, gotcha.
And then there's the International Door Association, the IDA.
IDA, okay, I'm writing these down.
Both of those have a ton of info about the industry, like training programs, certification stuff, all that.
Perfect. So this guide is like the first step, and then those organizations can take it from there.
I love that. It's like these deep dives always seem to uncover way more than I expect.
Tell me about it. It's amazing what you can learn if you just scratch the surface a little bit.
Seriously. And, even if someone isn't planning on changing careers and becoming a door installer, there's still some really important stuff we've talked about today that applies to, well, pretty much everything.
Oh, totally. Like what?
Well, we've talked about communication, problem solving, being adaptable.
Right.
Those are valuable in any job, in any part of life, really.
True. And this deep dive just shows how important they are in like a really concrete way, you know? It's one thing to say communication is important, but it's another to actually see how it plays out in a job like this.
Totally. And, as we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I keep coming back to something we haven't really talked about explicitly. We've talked about the technical side of things, the career stuff, even sustainability. But there's this other element that's important too, like the human element.
What do you mean? I'm intrigued.
Well, think about it. Doors are about more than just like keeping stuff in or out. They represent something
Yeah.
like security, privacy, creating a sense of welcome.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're like a threshold between spaces, kind of
Yeah,
symbolic when you think about it that way.
exactly. And I think there's something really meaningful about that.
Mhm.
For the people who install those doors, there's a level of, I don't know, craftsmanship to it. Taking pride in your work, building something that will last, something that adds something positive to people's homes and lives.
That is so well said. And it's so true. We often forget about that side of work, that human element.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget about the bigger picture. But it's there.
It totally is. It makes me think about all those beautiful old doors you see like in historic buildings, the ones with the intricate carvings or the stained glass.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Those weren't just functional, They were like works of art.
They absolutely were. It's like a reflection of the skill and artistry of the people who made them. And yeah, mass production has obviously changed how a lot of doors are made today. But you know what? I actually think that idea of craftsmanship, it can still exist even in the way a door is installed.
How so?
It's about taking pride in those small details, even if most people don't even notice them. It's about going above and beyond just getting the job done and really striving for a level of excellence in every installation.
That's a really good point. It's about that dedication to quality.
Exactly.
About, like we were saying before, that deeper layer. We walk through doors every single day without even thinking about them. But behind everyone is this whole story. The design, the materials, the craftsmanship, and yeah, the installation too.
And the people behind all of that, using their knowledge and skill to create something that's both beautiful and functional.
I love that. It really drives home the point that we shouldn't underestimate those skilled trades, They're so important.
They really are.
Yeah.
It's like we literally walk through the results of their work every day.
That's such a good point. This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have this whole new appreciation for door installation now. The skills it takes, the challenges.
And the connections to bigger things. Like
Yeah.
who knew we'd be talking about sustainability and craftsmanship when we started this?
Right. It's amazing. And, even for people who aren't thinking about installing doors for a living, I feel like we've uncovered some really great takeaways today.
Totally. Like what?
Well, we talked about communication, problem solving, adaptability. Those are things that everyone needs no matter what they do.
100%. Those are life skills. And this deep dive just showed how they play out in the real world in a job that, honestly, most of us probably never think twice about.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that no matter what you do, being able to communicate clearly, solve problems creatively, and just roll with the punches, that's huge.
It really is. And as much as I love digging into these topics and uncovering all the hidden layers, I think it's time for us to, close the door on this particular deep dive.
I agree. But hey, every ending is a new beginning, right?
That is a fantastic way to look at it. So for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the world of door installation. We hope you learned something new, and who knows, maybe this even sparked a new career interest for some of you.
And if nothing else, next time you walk through a door, take a second to appreciate the skill and craftsmanship that went into getting it there.
Perfectly said. Until next time, keep those minds curious, keep exploring, and remember, you never know what you might discover.